Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today, first of all, in this channel I have thought and I have decided that to spice up this channel a little bit, we're going to be doing makeup and movies. Yeah, that's gonna be fun. So it's going to be super fun, especially if you love movies, this is for you, and if you love makeup, this is also for you. So yeah, let's just jump onto today's show of choice, which is actually Shadow and Bone. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, so as I said, we're going to be talking about Shadow and Bone. Is it Bones or Bone? Okay, Shadow and Bone. It's a show that aired on Netflix like a few weeks ago, I think. So yeah, I watched it and I was like, yo, wow, like I loved it. I love fantasy. I just love the whole idea of like demons and dragons and vampires and werewolves, all that stuff. So if you ask me, Shadow and Bone is awesome. Like it's really cool. I loved the characters, I loved the acting, it was phenomenal, and every character to me was awesome, so I really loved it. So yeah, so in episode 1, let's not just start, I'm just gonna break down episode by episode and I'm just gonna talk about like what happens in each episode briefly. And yeah, so far I said I love it and it's quite interesting, so do check it out if you love fantasy. And I think it's also in other sites, just not just Netflix, so you can get it anywhere you want, even just a movie shop. So it starts with Alina Starkov, whatever. She is a cartographer. She draws maps, and she is actually a Shu. Shu is like a tribe that is actually the enemies to where they stay. So she doesn't quite fit in where they stay, which is the west of Rakov. And she is actually an orphan. We don't really, I think the parents died in the fold or something. And yeah, I've mentioned something I wasn't supposed to mention before, but we're just gonna talk about it anyways. So there's something called the fold, which is like a dark, it's like a big ass dark shadowy boundary that was made by a Grisha. The Grisha are like this powerful like sorcerers. They have like magic powers and stuff, and actually the Grisha are quite hated and feared. So it was actually made by a Grisha a while back. So yeah, and inside the fold is actually some monsters called Volcra. So that's why people fear going into the fold, because you're gonna get munched on and eaten by the Volcra. So oh yeah, so that's what I was actually wanted to just get it out clearly. So basically it revolves around the fold, the Grisha, and Alina Starkov. And actually the only person who can destroy this fold is actually a sun summoner who's actually a myth. So yeah, so it's okay. Also there is Mal. Mal is Alina's best friend. They grew up in the same orphanage. They're both orphans and they're both Shu. So in episode 1 there's not really much that goes on. It's just like an introduction into the whole show, and then we get to get familiar with the characters and the different storylines that are there, because you know there's this people's storyline and this people's storyline, and then they end up meeting somewhere in the season, in the show. So actually they're like soldiers. So yeah, they're like soldiers, and Mal is this like badass fighter. We get to see him and his gorgeous body.
He needs some milk.
You know, he's fine. He's actually he looks good. His body is actually, he's really ripped and fitted. So yeah, so these two are quite inseparable. They have always been together since they were young. They always go everywhere together. But when the, let me call the commander or the head of the soldiers, summons them and tries to give them like rules, like they're going to do, Mal is told that he's going to go for the supply run across the fold to the west of Ravka. So actually they can't go for supplies. You know, somebody would be like, why don't you just not go around? Well, they are enemies with the surrounding, like, what do I call it, territories, so they'll actually get killed. So the only way to get supplies is through the fold to the west of Ravka. So yeah, it's practically a death mission. So when Alina hears that, she is quite devastated, and after trying to convince Mal not to go, and he doesn't ingia the box, she decides to sabotage some maps, since the maps are very important she sabotages the maps to go all the way to the west of Ravka, and thus her and her cartographer friends are first on the ship. So on the ship, okay, this ship is like a ship that is controlled by I don't know what I don't remember their names, but some type of Grisha, where they like blow wind on the thing that looks like you know, ships, right? That's cloth that has to be pulled by the wind for the ship to move. Now that one they use a Grisha who's like pulls wind on it and it goes. Yeah, you get me. So they get into the fold, and to be in the fold you're not supposed to light any source of light. If you do so, you're going to attract the Volcra. But some idiots lit up a lantern because he was scared. You know, staying in the dark is not easy, and then imagine staying in the dark with monsters. So when he switches it on, it actually ends up attracting the Volcra, and they get attacked, and Mal gets attacked, and Alina, trying to protect the both of them, suddenly just lights up, and boom boom boom, she's on fire. Okay, she's not on fire, she's like glowing and everything, and she ends up destroying the Volcra. Talk about women empowerment. Well, she ends up destroying the Volcra, and actually one person in the ship manages to escape on foot all the way to the west of Volcra, and that really alerts people, because they'll be like, how did you make it to the west of Ravka, not Volcra, the west of Ravka on foot, and you didn't get attacked by those creatures? So that's basically where season 1 ends. Oh wait, I have to talk about the other people who are there. There's the Crows, which is led by some guy called, who's like the head of like a pub. So they get their hands on a very important mission, which is they have to get something on the other side, on the west of, no wait, they have to go to the other side to get something like important, and they are going to get paid 1 million kruger, of which I don't know how much that is in Kenyan money or USD. So yeah, so but how serious they were about it, I can tell it's a lot of money. So yeah, those are actually they're actually the other side story that is very important to the show. So Alina's actions against the Volcra brings her attention to the general. If there's something I love, is actors who are good at acting. But hot actors who are good at acting, sold. Like your General Krieger is, to me, he was just like, wow, like God's gift to girls. So we meet General Krieger, and he actually asks her how she was able to destroy the Volcra, but you know how she's not like aware of actually even what happened, so she doesn't know. So there's this test you get done to know whether you're Grisha or not Grisha, and she does the test, and turns out she is the Sun Summoner. Wow, as if that was not obvious enough. So actually I expected it, you know, you honestly expect it, because that's where the story is heading. Actually, I forgot to mention, this series is based off a book, which is actually called Shadow and Bone. So yeah, you can read the book or watch the movie, whatever works your boat. So it turns out she's actually the Sun Summoner. So to protect her, the general asks that she's taken to the little palace, where all the Grishas are, and they get trained, and like it's a safe place, you know, for the outcasts, because they are actually outcasts. And when she is getting transported to the, what is it called, to the little palace, they actually get attacked by people who are called the Driskella. The Driskella are actually people who are against Grisha. They hate Grisha, and they just Grisha. So they attack her, but you know, Bay comes to her rescue, whatever. Anyways, General Krieger comes and saves her as, wow, and turns out he's actually a shadow summoner. He summons shadows and darkness, and that's how he's able to defeat the Driskella, and he's able to take her to, and he offers to take her to the little palace himself. And on the other story of Kaz, if you remember, Kaz is the guy who is is trying to get money to go to the other side of the fold, and find something to get money. Wow, I'm terrible at explaining. I feel this video will be everywhere, but forgive me. So anyways, they find out that actually there is the sun summoner, because the guy who actually escaped gets kidnapped, and he gets killed after revealing on how he was able to make it through the fold. So what's his name again? So Kaz, who's actually the leader of the crows, finds out that there is a way that they can get through the fold through somebody called the conductor, and they look for him and actually end up finding him. So in episode 3, we get to see how Alina is faring on in the little palace. She gets her little luxury room, and you know, when you're a soldier, you live in tents, you get rained on and you barely shower, but here she's living in luxury. She has this awesome room with a bathtub. I mean, wow. And she eats like amazing food. She gets her own like maids who take care of her and dress her up and all. So in season 3, Alina is actually introduced to the king so that they can give her, okay, I don't know if this happens in season 2 or season 3, but sorry, episode 2 or episode 3, but she gets introduced to the king so that they can get the king's permission to train her on the grounds. And the king is actually impressed, and they allow her to get trained on the grounds. And being in the palace actually proves to be tougher than she actually expected. And actually, unfortunately, when they made it to the other side of the fold, she got separated from Mal. So when she's really struggling to fit in, she writes letters to Mal, and Mal writes letters to her. Best friend goals, I mean. So yeah, she actually really struggles to fit in, and then she actually meets this really tough lady called Bagza, who is like somebody who brings out your powers or something. I don't really know what her role was, but yeah, she meets her and she's quite tough and mean to her, which makes it a lot difficult. But anyways, as long as she has got General Krieger, is it Krieger? Yes, Krieger. As long as she's got General Krieger, she's like, okay, I mean, wow, if you have such a handsome, powerful man beside you, I mean, why not? So Alina also gets to learn about the stag because she keeps seeing it in her dreams, and the stag is actually like a creature that looks like a deer, but it's very big. I don't know how else to explain it. Yeah, that's in layman's language, and it's really pretty. Maybe found it to be very pretty, and she really learns about it and how the stag will amplify your powers if you're the one who kills it and like fuses a part of its body to your body. So yeah, also Kaz finds the conductor, uses the conductor to get through the fold, and actually they barely make it, almost die, but they didn't die because, wow, actually my favorite character in this whole show is this guy called Jasper. He's just, I don't know, I just love his carefree spirit and just how he's just like, you know, living life, you know, he's not stressed, he's not like all gloomy like Kaz, he's just like everywhere and he's having fun in his life. I just love him. And he's the one who actually helps them to manage to make it through the fold. So I had to like put my lashes off camera because that is usually a struggle on its own. But I do have a brow tutorial and a lash tutorial that I'm gonna put somewhere around here. So on to episode 4. What's her name? Alina gets to like she starts fitting in the little palace, and what's his name? General Krieger takes her under his wing, and he just like, you know, is there for her, and even if it's like tough and all that. So Mal on the other hand is really trying all his best to find a way to get to see Alina. But when the general sends in word that he wants the stag, if you remember I talked about the stag, which is like a deer looking creature that enhances a creature's power. So he sent word that he wanted he wanted people to be sent to look for that stag. And at first Mal thought that it was like a message from from Alina, from the palace. So he takes that job when nobody else wants to take it, and his friends volunteer to go with him. But unfortunately, when they fall into Driskella's territory, they get attacked, and unfortunately his friends just die. Oh my gosh, Akit was so sad, and then those friends of his are so supportive. Like, why? Anyways, they end up getting killed, and he's the one who ends up surviving barely, but he ends up, I have to say, Mal has come, he's been in contact with death very, very often, but he always survives. So that's good. It shows you be persistent in life. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so what does I say? Oh, so he barely manages to get away, but it's so unfortunate that he had to lose his friends. And also Kaz and his group, they're called the Crows, they find a way to sneak into the palace, and what they come up with is actually joining like what are they called? Oh my goodness, that foundation. He joins a performing crew that is actually going to perform for the queen in the palace at a festival that was going to be held. So that is their one opportunity to sneak into the palace, and that is how, yeah, that's actually their one opportunity, because getting into the palace is not an easy job. So that is their, you know, their only way and their chance to get there. We also end up learning that the fold was actually made by a Grisha, who's actually known as the Shadow Summoner or the Black Heretic. Yeah, it's the Black Heretic. So that is very unfortunate. Actually, there's a story behind it, but I don't really want to get into it because I don't actually remember it properly. So yeah. Actually, in episode 4, Mal actually gets to see the stag, and it's really beautiful. Like me was like, wow, like this is a gorgeous creature. Like, why is it that a creature has to be sacrificed for the greater good of people? Anyways, in the next episode, there's actually like, let me say, like a festival or something where Alina gets to like showcase her powers to like to the king and the queen and everybody else who's like royal in the palace. So the crows actually take that opportunity to sneak into the palace, as I said in the previous episode, and they come up with a plan on how they're going to carry that out during the festival. And also Mal actually volunteered, despite being hurt, he volunteered to actually take the news about the stag to the general himself, because he knew that his only opportunity to see his best friend is the opportunity to see his best friend and, you know, make sure she's safe and all that. So yeah, during the festival she does a really amazing, like, wow, it was like, I was also like, oh my god, wow, it looks so beautiful. She did like a really amazing performance, and everybody was so wowed, and they like bowed down because, you know, they believe like the sun summoner is a saint. So when they saw it with their own eyes, you know, they have hope that the fold will actually get destroyed and they'll actually get to be like one huge land or one big territory or whatever. And during dinner is when the crows decide to actually kidnap Alina. They need Alina so that they can be able to cross the fold. That is why they're kidnapping her. No, wait, I don't remember why they were kidnapping her in the first place. Anyways, so the conductor is actually the one who is given the role of actually taking Alina, because he possesses a stone. To get into her room, you actually need to there's like a secret door that is opened by a Grisha, and he has a special stone that opens that door or whatever. But when he gets into the room and actually attacks her, but it's not actually her, turns out it's a double, and word gets out that actually she's in trouble, that the Sun Summoner is in trouble. But at the same time, Alina is in General Krieger's room. I don't know if it's his bedroom or his office or whatever, but they're out there and then they're talking, and it's getting like hot, and, you know, it's fiery, like, wow. And then they actually get to kiss, and it was like so intense. I was like, wow, like, you guys give us more. But somebody knocks on the door, and their hot makeup session is interrupted, and General Krieger is actually told that she's in trouble, like somebody tried to attack her. So he goes to investigate the whole issue, and Bagda, remember Bagda? Turns out Bagda is actually General Krieger's mom, and General Krieger is actually somebody who has bad intentions. Like, wow, like, you can't be pretty and good at the same time. You just have to either to be pretty and bad or not good looking and nice. I mean, like, what? why? But anyways, he is actually, turns out he is actually the black heretic who actually made the black fold. Actually, to be honest, I did not expect that he would. I had a feeling, but I didn't want to accept it. But actually, my instincts were right. He was the bad guy, and he's actually the one who created the fold. And she learns that actually he doesn't want to actually destroy the fold, but to use the fold to his advantage. So Alina gets really angry that her crush, her little bull thing, is actually a monster who wants to use her powers for bad things. So she actually runs away, and she gets into a carriage that actually belongs to the cruise. You know that actually when the conductor attacked the double of Alina, he got captured and he was taken. So their plan clearly failed, and oh, look at my hair. Their plan clearly failed, so their option was to retreat and actually just go back. And she actually snuck her into their carriage. I mean, what are the odds? It's like, wow, like really. But she didn't know that anyways. And yeah, actually when Mal takes the news about the stag to the general, he doesn't actually, which is smart, he doesn't actually tell him where the stag is until he gets to see Alina. But unfortunately, he didn't get to see Alina, and that was like awful. So in the next episode, actually, when Alina is like running away, she actually is able to run away from the cruise because one of the members called Inej lets her go, because she believes that she's the saint who's going to rescue them and doesn't really see the need to like capture her and stuff. She runs away. She ends up running into like one of the villagers, and he's like recognizes that she's Shu are this like tribe who are like really hated. So he attacks her and she defends herself with her powers, and she gets chased around where she runs into the woods to save her life. But actually Mal appears and saves her. Like, wow, talk about a Prince Charming moment. And he saves her, and it was like so cute. And Mal actually tells her about the stag, and they actually decide to go and look for the stag together. And actually General Cregan learns that she actually ran away and digs for information of where she could be. And yeah, unfortunately the conductor was killed after giving out information on why they wanted to hunt her down. And turns out that the crows wanted to kidnap her, and one of the rival territories actually wanted her dead. So like he was like a double agent, let me say. So he wanted to actually kill Alina. Wow, like talk about plot twists. But he actually ends up being killed. So in the next episode, we actually get to learn that why General Cregan is the way he is. Turns out his wife was they were being hunted down. Grisha were being hunted down, and his wife was killed before his very eyes, which is very sad. I mean, wow, every evil person these days, every evil person has a backstory, and it just makes you end up feeling bad for them. So the Grisha were being hunted down because the king really hated Grisha at the time, and when he runs after his wife gets killed, and he goes back to like, okay, his wife gets killed, obviously he kills the people who killed his wife. And when he's like in the, I don't know what it was, I think it was before I don't know, where the other Grisha were, the mom tells him about a secret spell that is actually a forbidden spell, but he actually ends up doing it, and that is, the secret spell is what actually made the fold. So back to the present, when Alina and Mal find the stag, she actually doesn't have the courage to kill the stag because it's really cute and just there and staring at her so innocently. Oh my god, I wouldn't even go through with it. But General Cregan, of course, appears and actually kills the stag himself. Hurts Mal, and actually takes Alina with him back to the camp. And he uses some dude, I don't really know what this guy was. I just know he's Grisha, but I don't remember clearly exactly what he was. And he fuses the antennae of the stag into her body, and and a piece of it into his arm. The point was that he wanted to actually control Alina's powers. So basically he just wanted her powers so that he can control the nations and like be the top head or whatever. And it was actually pretty awful. And it was actually really bad that, though I don't know, I don't understand him. He was really trying to convince Alina to be on his side, but she was like, man, screw you and your plans. So the crows actually, they just decided to go back to their land, because now like what can they do? Because the San Savannah was in the hands of the, what is his name again? General Cregan. So they decided to like come up with a way to sneak into one of the ships that is going to actually be going into the fold. And on to the next episode, which is the last episode, General Cregan actually forces he forces Alina into the ship that is going to take them through the fold. And actually at first they thought like they're going to like get to see Alina destroy the fold, but shock on them, that was not the case. They actually even ended up being either killed or put to sleep, I don't remember. And we get to learn that General Cregan is actually a bitch, and he wanted to actually use the fold and the powers of the Sun Summoner to like make nations bow to him, and that he'll be the ultimate leader and all that. So yeah, we actually get to learn the truth about what he wants to do. But the best part is that even if Mal was kidnapped by the Nini and he was being kept prisoner, he was able to escape and snuck into the ship. So he's the one who like fought off with the general, and Alina was able to get full control of her power back. And the General Cregan was actually taken by one of the Volcra. I'm just talking juju, so you can actually watch it to like get in detail of the whole thing. But he was actually taken by a Volcra, and we thought he was dead, but he wasn't. Like, Jesus, just die already. And Alina was able to save the people on the ship, because apparently the Volcra started attacking them, and as much as she put up her shields to defend them, the general was like, anyone who was against him, he would like just attack them and stuff. But at least she was able to save the people on the ship, and they were able to get out of the fold. And Alina realized that she is not strong enough to actually take down the fold, and she decides to like, that's just telling us this season 2, and she decided to like just go get stronger, and then she's gonna come back and actually destroy the fold. And when it's ending, we actually realize the general bitch. We actually realize that General Cregan we actually realize that he's not actually dead, and he's actually gets control over the, he actually makes it out of the fold alive, and he also has control over the Volcra. Like, wow, like that's just telling us season 2 is gonna be fire, because he's like gonna be stronger, and Alina is also going to be stronger. So I guess they're gonna battle it out at some point. And yeah, that's actually where the show ends. Yeah, that's where the show ends. Let me finish this up real quick and I'm gonna be right back. Okay, so basically that wraps up like the whole show. Okay, okay, I know it's just been everywhere, but I hope you did like enjoy this review. I did really enjoy the show. It had a lot of like twists and turns. The characters were so amazing, the acting was so well done. I think the CGI was really awesome. So yeah, I give it like a 9 out of 10. It was really nice. So you check it out, and oh my god, disclaimer. If you actually first, if you've not watched a show that I'm gonna be reviewing, watch it first, then come back for the review, because I will actually be spoiling a lot and I don't want to spoil it for you guys. So you can just go watch it and come back and watch this review. If you have any other thoughts, comment down below, and yeah, that's about it. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends and family, and yeah, I'm gonna see you guys on my next video. Don't forget to take care of yourself and also believing in yourself. Bye.
What's there to say? There's nothing but space in between you and I.